Hey, welcome to the Thursday Checkdown, our show to help you win your leagues. And I got to tell you, if you missed last night's 100th episode of the Game Changers, man, it was an amazing show. You really need to go back and watch it because Carla does an excellent job with interviews, but the guests that we had on, my buddy was on the show. He had a good time. Ricky had a good time. So go back and check that one. But we want to help you win your leagues, and that's what tonight's show for. And we got some special guests tonight to help us with that. Our pro tonight is Dylan. Our pro is Dylan Schmittler from Dylan Sports. Dylan, why don't you tell us? I know you run the Spunky Spectrum Sports podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where people can find your work, and what you're all about?
Well, I mean, check me out at Dylan Sports One, Spunky Spectrum Sports, Big D podcast, and it'd be all sports. I mean, football, baseball, all kinds of sports. Generally big events. So, if we're talking Super Bowl happening, got episodes on the World Series, you name it.
Well, it sounds good. And I think Spunky Spectrum Sports Podcast is such a great name. I would love that name for a podcast.
Well, I mean, I'm on the autism spectrum, and my nickname as a youngin was Spunky. So what else am I going to name my YouTube page?
Well, I think it's great. I do. But we got a Joe that's very special to us because he runs our social media for the sports affiliation, Mr. Pete Sandoval. Pete, how you doing, baby?
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Now, Pete was another one that was on the show last night. Didn't you think that was an amazing show for Carla?
It was one of the best shows I've ever seen.
And they had so many giveaways. We had Bob Lung give away a special VIP package to the expo this year. Now, Dylan, I don't know if you've ever been to a fantasy football expo, but you need to go. You get to meet all the industry leaders, the people that have been doing this for 30 years and longer. And it's just a great time. It really is. It's a great time. And then Scott Fish, who runs the largest charitable contest in the world, he had over 50,000 people apply to be in the Scott Fish Bowl this year, and about 5,000 made it. It's about 10% make it. And they raised over $500,000 for charity. That's not bad for fantasy football guys, that he doesn't even demand that they pay to play. He just requests that you donate. And he gave away a free entry into next year's Scott Fish Bowl. So there were just some great giveaways. I won a T-shirt. Did you win something? I think Rick won something, didn't you, Rick? Or did you not?
No, I wanted that golden ticket, but no, I watched from the side.
Okay. But anyway, what we do in this segment is we choose a sleeper and a bust, and we call a sleeper somebody that's currently top 12 quarterback or running back. It is not in the top 12 quarterback or running back, and not in the top 24 running quarterback or tight end. Duh. And not in the top 24 running back and wide receiver. You have to forgive me. I was on the phone with another TSA guy, Mike Pelton, who's putting together our Discord, and I just lost track of time. I got in literally 60 seconds before we started. I know, I was terrible. It's all me. It's all my fault. But anyway, I create a list each week using a basic PPR scoring system, no bonuses at all, just basic, of the top 12 quarterbacks and tight ends and the top 24 running backs and wide receivers. I tell our guests, choose one that's on the list as a bust that you think won't make the list next week, and choose one that's not on the list as a sleeper. Now, Dylan was good enough to give us a complete rundown. Rick and I do a show called Snap, Crackle, Pop on Tuesdays, and we do all the positions on that show. But on this one, we just do one because we don't have time to do that many. So Pete and Dylan are going to represent the Joes and the pros respectively, and we are tracking that. And I want to scroll down so I can tell you what the current score is. Right now, the hosts. Now that's generally Rick and I, although Joe Frick, he tuned in for me 2 weeks while I was in Japan. We counted his as well. We're sitting at 26 correct. Okay. Our pros and Joes are sitting at 16, and our Joes lead our pros 9-7. So let's start off with our pro. Dylan, who do you have as your sleeper for this week?
Well, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit and rinse and repeat with Michael Wilson. If he was available in everybody's waiver, what did he have? 15 catches for 100-something yards against the 49ers. So what if it was in garbage time? Nobody cares, as long as his fantasy scoring. And Jacksonville doesn't exactly have a great pass defense. I think the Jags are 30th against the pass. No pressure. Cardinals can't run anyway, so if Jacoby Brissett throws, it's going to be either Trey McBride and Michael Wilson.
All right. I like that pick. I do. What do you got for us, Pete?
What are we doing? Sleeper or bust?
Sleeper.
Sleeper. All right. My sleeper is Ricky Pearsall of the 49ers. He is coming off just his second game from a knee injury. He had only 2 targets, 1 reception on his first game back against the Arizona Cardinals. He still has a tough matchup this week against a Carolina team that is pretty solid, even though they're not the best, but they're pretty solid at the in the defensive backs. I see Pearsall having a good week and having a much bigger role this week against Carolina. They're at home, and he had a season high of 8 receptions and 117 yards, and I can see him doing that again this week. And it's on primetime.
Okay, and primetime does motivate these guys. People don't realize that does matter. Now, I got to say, I like that, but I got a question for you before we go on to Rick. Pete, put Pete back in the middle. Put Pete in the middle, because I'm going to ask him a question. Pete, who's the number 1 wide receiver in San Francisco? Is it him or Jennings?
It's Jennings.
Okay.
He's been the number. Pearsall's been number 2 so far. So I would watch for the targets to go up big time. Like I said, he had a very small share last
First
week.
game back. First game. Yeah. Okay, so now it's over to Ricky. Rick, who you got, buddy?
Yay. And I guess I'm going to go along with Dylan and say that my sleeper is Jacoby Brissett, Arizona Cardinals quarterback. He has started 5 games for the Cardinals this season, and he's getting 314 yards per game. He's had 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He is the quarterback 3 from a points per game basis just over that time, and trails only Drake May in yards passing since week 6. Now, last week, Brissett had a NFL record with 47 completions and over 400 yards. This week, he gets to play against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And as Dylan said, they're not very good against the pass. They're 26th in passing yards allowed and 28th versus quarterbacks in fantasy football. One other thing I want to point out, Brissett's only 32 years old. Are they making a quarterback change, and will this be lasting into next year? I know that the wide receivers and of course, Trey McBride are hoping that they do make that change. So
I got to tell you, I was in an internet argument with a fellow interneter about Jacoby Brissett and Trey McBride. I mean, he was pumping up McBride big time after the second Jacoby Brissett start. And I said, pump the brakes a little bit. This is 2-game sample. You can't base anything on 2 games. Well, apparently I was wrong, because he's continued it in for all of his starts. He has turned Trey McBride into the number 1 tight end. And I got to say, those people who drafted Brock Bowers in the first round, they're wishing they had gone with Trey McBride right now. So,
yeah.
All right.
You also have to look for Greg Dortch. He had a touchdown last week. I know he's kind of more of a gimmick player, But again,
Hey,
they
I
throw.
start him in my Beat a Hall of Famer league because he returns kicks, and we get yards for kick returns. Dortch has been one of my regular starters in my flex position because I count on 10 points out of returns. If he gets anything in the passing game, it's a bonus. So yeah, I like Dortch. And having a quarterback that can see over the offensive line does matter. It really does.
Got these guys. You got it.
Okay, so I did want to say something before I give you my pick. There's a couple of folks we met at the convention, and they gave me, can you scan in on that one? Zoom in a little bit. No, put me in there. There you go. That's a Hall of Fame GOAT ring. They gave away 2 of those on the show last night. It's crownchampions.com. Check them out. They're really good people. And if I can get this one up, this way. That's what I'm giving to the winner of my league this year. I bought 2 of them. They're good people. They're people you can trust. For me, you talk about low-hanging fruit, Dylan. That's me, baby. I went with quarterback, if you can believe this, Lamar Jackson. He's currently sitting at QB 19. Okay? Part of that's missed games. Part of that's missed games. Last week, he really didn't have a good game, but I don't expect 2 bad games in a row from Lamar Jackson. Okay. So, game squared, Jackson played at least 95% of the snaps in every game that his script has been where he's played at least 95% of the snaps. He's averaging 21.6 points per game. That gets him into the top 12 every week. So, I think last week was an exception. He had 4.72 points. It's not something you can depend on. So I am the Jets are allowing 20 points per game to quarterbacks. So I think Jackson rebounds in a major way this week. But now we got to go to the bust, and we're going back to Dylan. Dylan, who's your bust?
Well, I'm sorry, but the Big D does not like Big D this weekend. I'm going Dak Prescott.
I'm with you on
Yeah,
that one.
Where's the sound effect for me? Where's the sound effect?
Give me a cheer. Give me a cheer. Nobody likes the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Even though Dak was great on Monday night, that game, Dak would have been more comfortable in slippers and a bathrobe facing the Raider defense. Now he's facing
There you go.
Facing a Vic Fangio defense. Dak threw for under 200 yards in week 1. That was with Jalen Carter missing the whole game. I don't know about you, but the Philly defense scares the living bejeebers out of me. I mean, Jared Goff looked like he was seeing ghosts on Sunday night. And remember, Jalen Phillips now is part of that Philadelphia pass rush. So Jalen Carter, Jalen Phillips, plus that secondary with who's with the
Rick, DDP.
with 2 young quarterbacks. I think that Prescott could be not just outside the top 12, probably outside the top 15 this week.
Oh, I don't disagree. In fact, I know that another of our prognosticators is going to go with the Dallas player as well. But let's go to Pete first. Pete, who you got?
All right. My bust is Justin Jefferson. I know, big wow, right? Bust Jefferson? No, but yes,
scary
it
to
is.
me. I told you I wouldn't have had the guts to do it.
Hey, so all right. So and it may be the hot take, but over the season, Justin Jefferson, he's starting to show his frustration about the lack of good quarterback play, and he's only got two games where he eclipsed the 100-yard mark. Okay, and that was with Carson Wentz, and JJ is, JJ McCarthy is struggling. He's overthrowing players. He's throwing pretty erratic. Jefferson only has 2 touchdowns in those 11 games as well. Now they got to go into Green Bay with the defensive backs. They rank 6th in total yards and 7th in points allowed. He'll get his targets, but I believe the ceiling is dreadfully low for the star receiver.
No, I love JJ. I know that JC, our compatriot, hates JJ, but I'm hoping you're wrong here. No offense,
Oh,
Pete.
I get it.
But I'm a Michigan guy, and JJ's a Michigan guy. So, all right, Rick, your turn, buddy.
Okay, well, I'm the other prognosticator that is jumping on the the Dallas Cowboys, and it's Javonte Williams, the Dallas Cowboy running back. They're playing against the Eagles defense, and the Eagles defense is playing elite. I think Dallas is going to have to pass to stay in this game. But if you look at Philadelphia and the way they've gone against running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs was 12 for 39 yards last week. Yeah, he did get his receiving yards with 5 for 107, but receiving is not a facet of Javonte Williams' game. In fact, Dak rarely throws to running backs. He only has less than a 15% target rate to the running back position. So whatever Williams is going to get, he's going to have to get it on the ground. And I wouldn't be really surprised if this game isn't more of a grinder, low scoring, even though we've got two high-powered offenses going at it. I just think that the Philadelphia Eagles defense is going to dictate the pace of this game.
I can't disagree with you because they shut down Detroit, and they had a high-scoring offense, and they shut down Green Bay, who also has a good offense.
Yeah, now true. And Jacobs got 21 carries for 74 yards and a touchdown.
And he's probably missing this week.
Yeah, but if you look even to the week before that, they had a bye. But if you look to the last game that the Eagles played against the Giants, they held Tyrone Tracy to 39 yards on 10 carries. I think that's Scatterboo was only 3 for 12, but he was hurt. So, they're a tough defense. And I think Dylan said it right. They only made that defense even tougher with some moves at the trade deadline. So,
well, they really improved the pass rush. Jalen Phillips is an edge rusher, right?
Yeah, and Jalen Carter is also on that front line, and he's just a bear.
Is he playing this week though? Because he missed Detroit's game, I think.
Yeah, I think
they still shut down Detroit's running game.
Yeah, so I'm. This is going to be one of those games where a Houston Texan fan, we've got a tough game tonight, but I'm just going to really be enjoying watching Philadelphia just have their way with the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, well, my guy is a running back that I love a lot, but his offensive line is the worst offensive line I have seen in the NFL in the 40 plus years I've been watching and paying attention. I turned 70. I turned 70 this year. I've been watching the NFL since I was 10, so it's been 60 years that I've been watching, but I really been paying attention the last 45 years. Ashton Jeanty is currently the running back 17. I think he gets shut down. I just think that defensive line, they're going up against Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't give up anything to anybody. All right. So I think the Browns defense travels. Defense always travels. And so I'm looking at Cleveland to shut down Jeanty, but I'm also looking at him to take out the quarterback because I got to say, I don't think Geno Smith has looked particularly decisive in throwing the ball, and he's not going to have time against that defensive line to hold it. So yeah. I'm looking for Jeanty just get shut down both on the ground and in the air this week.
Yeah, and by coincidence, Adrian O'Connell was just activated. So and we can talk to Tipp about that. Tipp's our expert on the all things Raiders. But
he does like the Raiders.
It's going to be a gruesome game.
But that is it for this segment. I don't know if Pete and Dylan are going to stick around, but if you are, we're going to put you in the back room for the news segment. We'll bring you back for the AI segment. If you're gone, I want to thank you both for appearing, and it's been great having you on.
Before I leave, everybody that's watching, please give a like and subscribe for these guys and the great job that they do. And you can follow them on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Their handles are right below. And check out all the great shows we got going on. You'll enjoy it.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it. Dylan, are you going to stick or are you going to run? Buddy?
Actually, I'm supposed to be in class right now, so I think I'm going to head out for now. I may come back at some point.
We'll get you back in the off season for sure. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
Great meeting
All
you.
right, guys. Let's- That always gets me dancing. And we got Tipster with us.
Hey,
Also,
Well,
Tip was on the show last night. Tip, did you win anything?
did I win anything?
Yeah.
I won in life.
Okay.
what a good
Just to let you guys know what a stand-up guy Mr. Lung is, Tip never got a printed
Oh,
for the expo last week. He had to write his name in. Bob Lung printed a Tipp Major entry card, and I've got that, and I'm not going to mail it to him, which I could do, and I'm also not going to drive to Houston to give it to him. I'm making Tip drive all the way to Austin to pick up his name tag, or he's going to have to wait until next year's expo when we'll see each other down there. But
if you have to drive out there, make sure you get barbecue out of the deal.
yeah,
Oh,
you're right.
yeah.
You get some food out of
There's
this.
all sorts of
Boy,
I hope he
3.5
brings
hours out of my way for a name tag. Oh, I'm getting food out of this.
I hope he brings Alana. I'll treat them both to some of the best barbecue in Central Texas at the South Side Market. They're very good.
Okay.
But
okay.
that said, Tip, why don't you explain this segment because it's yours?
Yeah, it's AI, and we asked ourselves this question last year: is it AI or not to AI? And basically, what we do is we pair myself up. Rick and Greg, we all pair up against these two AIs. You have Krog and you have Sir Whittington.
Well,
And-
actually, we only pair up Rick and I. We don't count yours.
Well, right now, out of this week, lonely old Krog, man. Look, Krog has been malfunctioning. He's got his parts from the Russian, like that. Those were the Russian parts, and right now they are just not computing. And I don't know what's going on with him, but he is dead last in this competition. Along with Greg and Rick, they're holding up behind, but they're not quite where Krog is. But it's a tight race amongst us four. And with me and Sir Whittington both at 24 apiece, we're still neck and neck, and we're fighting and clawing and getting ourselves to that mountaintop. And I think this week, when we have three players that Greg chose from the bottom of the fantasy football barrel, you got
Hey, wait a minute now.
You got
Kyle Pitts is not the bottom of the barrel.
Well, okay, he's the pit then. Okay,
Brian
maybe not the bottom of the barrel, but
Brian Thomas Jr. was a third-round pick.
But
Wasn't
we
Brian
got
Thomas Jr. a third-round pick? in drafts this year?
no. You know what? It's so crazy that look. I wanted to say this. These three players that we have this week. If you would have, maybe not Kyle Pitts, but the other two for sure, they had higher expectation and aspirations for them on their team this year. And they're not answering their call for their fantasy managers. So they're not doing it. And it's Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver from the Jaguars, Kyle Pitts, tight end from the Atlanta Falcons, and Tony Pollard, who has been on a milk carton for the majority of this season, the running back for the Titans. I mean, these three guys were not supposed to be here at this point in this career with this team. Maybe Kyle Pitts. We know we're getting him.
They're all flex options.
They're all flex options, and I got to tell you, if these are flex options for you this week, just go ahead and chalk this up as a 0 this week. Just go ahead and chalk it up.
They're all within 5 points of each other in total scoring for the year.
Well,
they're all within 5 points, and if you're running a 1-2-2-1 lineup with 2 or 3 flexes, any one of them can score double-digit points on any given week And if they do, 10 to 15 points is what you're looking for from your flex.
You are. But these three right here are players that have not gotten it done all season long for us. But it's a new week. I'm going to be more optimistic. I'm going to channel my optimism, Greg, and it's going to be a new week with these players. All right. So I'm going to tell you what Krog and Sir Whittington did, because they actually
Whittington first.
They actually tied. They tied. They tied. And I'm going to give you bullet points from what Sir Whittington said. And he said that Brian Thomas Jr. has big play upside. He has a high ceiling. I don't know where the ceiling he's talking about, because it may be only a 2 foot, maybe 3 foot ceiling. But it's not. I don't know where they're coming from on that. But he also says that, he's coming back from a week-to-week ankle injury, and it does have him a little bit concerned. But he feels like against Arizona that he can fly high this week. And Jaguars don't fly, so I don't know where he's coming from on that. And Kyle Pitts was his number 2 player. I think mainly the big thing that Sir Whittington talks about is Drake London not being there. Drake London. We know that Drake London is going to be out week to week. He's definitely missing this week. And I think that he thinks that Kyle Pitts and Kirk Cousins, because Michael Penix is also out too, he may feel that Kirk Cousins is going to throw the ball 30, 40 times. There's no way in the world that's going to happen. But, hey, I think Kyle Pitts may be the target leader, so I can understand why Kyle Pitts is number 2. Number 3 for Tony Pollard, it is Tony Pollard. And, he said he's a lead back, but I don't really necessarily think he's a lead back because they only run the ball like 20 times a game. They're one of the least running teams out there. So they, to me, don't seem like they have an identity as far as running. But he feels like that, it's going to be a matchup situation against Seattle, who is a tough team. And that's why he has them ranked at number 3. For Krog, again, has them ranked the same way. Brian Thomas Jr., Kyle Pitts, and Tony Pollard. And with Brian Thomas Jr., he just feels like that, they're going to get him involved in this offense somehow. He feels like that if this is going to be the week, this is going to be the week to do it, because Arizona's been playing really well. They've been scoring points. So he feels like this might be a sneaky shootout where Jacksonville is going to have to keep up with this Arizona team. And I don't fault him for that. I think that's a valid point. Kyle Pitts, on the other hand, is not a valid point, because he said that he's a mismatch. He is a mismatch. That's true. But for some reason on the NFL field, he has met his match. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. But I will say this. He feels like Kyle Pitts going against New Orleans, which I'll talk about New Orleans defense on the tight end side in a minute. But he feels like it's going to be a good opportunity for him to finally score against the New Orleans Saints. And then Tony Pollard is bringing up the rear. He feels like that Tajay Spears has more explosiveness, and that Tajay Spears is going to be getting more touches as soon as this week. So he feels like Tony Pollard, who might be on his way out, is actually going to be on his way out. So that's what he feels. As far as for me, there's no way I could put Brian Thomas Jr. first. I mean, again, coming back from an injury, and then not only that, it's just it has not happened all year. He has not had over 90 yards. 90 yards was his highest, and as far as receiving yards goes this season, that's unacceptable. I mean, this is supposed to be the next crop. This is supposed to be the next guy, and he's lost his confidence. That's why I have Kyle Pitts number 1. Because Kyle Pitts is at least going to get a lot of opportunities. When they are throwing the ball, he's probably going to be the person they're throwing the ball to the most because of no Drake London. I feel like they're going to run the ball a lot, but when they get down into the red zone, Kirk Cousins is still smart enough to notice a mismatch. He may not be able to always get the ball there, but he's smart enough to notice the mismatch, and Kyle Pitts does give you that mismatch. So I have Kyle Pitts number 1, Brian Thomas number 2, and then bringing up the rear, Tony Pollard. I talked about it just a minute ago. They don't run the ball there in Tennessee, and now you don't run the ball in Tennessee, and you got Tony Pollard who's not running the ball efficiently. So I just think it's a shamble over there. I'm not playing Tony Pollard. If he's a flex option, I'm considering benching him unless you're in bye week or running or back issues or, wide receiver issues. You got to play him. But other than that, I'm not playing him this week.
All right. So I guess it's up to Rick to tell us what he thinks.
Well, I think I'm going along with Mr. Majors because I've got Kyle Pitts going first. Now, Cousins has a history of throwing to tight ends. He had Kyle Rudolph and TJ Hawkinson, Irv Smith. Last year, I think that Pitts had 4.6 targets, 2.9 receptions, 38 yards per game with Cousins as the starter. Pretty much on par with what he was getting from Penix. And during the games, and this is what I think both the AI models and Tipp may have mentioned that with Drake London out, Pitts averaged 7 targets, 6.5 receptions, and just under 58 yards per game. I think that this is going to be he's going to be their lead receiver because look at what else they got with they have Darnell Mooney who's been struggling, and then they got a bunch of guys that you're just kind of pulling off of the shelf. So I think Pitts is definitely of these three, he's definitely the best option. Brian Thomas Jr. has been out a couple of weeks with a high ankle sprain. I don't want to start anyone until I see him actually play, even though this is a good matchup for him. I also not too thrilled with Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, although he has been a little bit above average this season. But boy, Tony Pollard, he's been such a disappointment. In the last 3 games, he's carried the ball, 10 or 11 times, held under 60 yards rushing and 12 yards receiving. So while the Seahawks aren't the toughest defense against running backs, I would actually look more to Tyjae Spears as being, taking over this backfield. And I think both Tipp and the AI models both agree.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you going against the Seattle Seahawks defense, who last week they did get some rushing yards put up on them, but they have been tough for the year. And then the Tennessee Titans just don't run the ball and don't run effectively. It's just
they actually don't do many plays at all. I think they are averaging less than 600 plays.
Wow.
So,
I mean, they're significantly slower offense than the teams
in a game. 600 plays?
That's probably for the whole year.
Yeah, that's total for the year. Yeah. But that's their opponents are averaging 637. So
yeah, but you give me 600 plays in the game, I'm taking every offensive player.
Right.
All right. So for me, I went with Kyle Pitts first. It's hard for me to put Pitts first on any list.
Right.
But let's remember, this kid did gain 1,000 yards receiving his rookie year. He's got the talent. There's never been a doubt about his talent. I think he's got 2 things that are playing into his favor this week. And you mentioned both of them. Now, a lot of analysts don't think that Cousins is an upgrade over Penix. I do. I think Cousins is much better quarterback than Michael Penix is at this stage in their careers. Now, Cousins is not a running quarterback, so he won't get you the yards on the ground. But spreading the ball around, Kirk Cousins knows how to spread the ball around. You're going to see Kyle Pitts get his opportunities. And the Saints defense, they're nowhere near the top of the rankings against tight ends. So while they're not the worst, they did give up 21 points to Theo Johnson. So I'm saying Pitts has at least the opportunity to do that, to get the 20 points. I don't think the other guys have the opportunity for 20 points. Now, let's face it, Brian Thomas Jr. has been a huge disappointment. He really has been, but he's my second player on this list. He's had between 5 and 10 targets every game. All right. So he's getting the looks. He's just got to convert them. That's all. And this week he's facing the Texans defense that has shut down receivers. I'm expecting him to get 5 receptions for 50 yards, 10 points, but I don't think he'll score. And I think that's going to put him behind Pitts, who I think probably will score against that Saints defense. All right. And then last but not least, Tony Pollard. What's he done? He's done 38.5 points over the last 3 weeks. All right. 10 carries is enough. If he gets that, he could top this list with 10 carries. But you're right, Tip. He doesn't get used in the passing game, and he's on the way out. Tyjae Spears is on the way in. I'm actually starting Spears in at least one other league. He's averaging 7.7 points per game over his last 3. That's just not enough to lead this. I don't think it's enough to take second in this competition. So for me, it's going to be Pitts, Thomas, and Pollard. And I think, did we all agree?
We did. The AIs though favor Brian Thomas Jr., Kyle Pitts, and Tony Pollard.
Oh, so both AIs were off? So we can gain the AIs.
Right. So it's the humanoids versus the AIs this week.
So where we're at right now is the host. The Tip is tied with Krog, not Krog, with Whittington, as the top prognosticator. They both have 26 points. Now, remember, in this competition, you get a point for every spot that you're off in your ranking. So you can get between 0 and 4 points. The most you can get is 4. And Tip's at 26. I'm tied at 26, but that's because I took 2 weeks off. So, now, but for the hosts, I counted Rick's numbers. And week 1 that Rick hosted, he was perfect. So I got no points for that, but I did pick up 4 the last week. So Rick, our hosts are at 60, and our AI is at 62. So we are ahead of the AI, but we're ahead of them because Krog is being beautiful. You talk about pitiful.
He got those Russian parts, man.
You talk about pitiful. I forgot to do the news and notes segment. So let's jump into news and notes now.
Okay, I'm just going to. Well,
Whoa! That was a blank video clip for me. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I saw nothing but blank screen.
Well, we're going to just do a abbreviated version because I want to make sure we also save enough time for the mailbag questions. We're week 12, 4 teams on bye: Broncos, Dolphins, Chargers, Commanders. So if you have anybody from any of those teams, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Devon Achane, Lad McConkey, you want to make sure you get them out of your lineups.
The Chargers need a bye week. They need a bye week.
They're beat up on that offensive line.
They need a
I was going to say both tackles, and that not only affects the running game, but it's also affecting people talking about. And we'll come to a question about Quentin Johnson, I think, later in the mailbag section. But just not enough time for him to be able to extend the field and get himself open. And so,
well, you're going to get to running backs, but is Vidal also gone?
I think he is still questionable. So if that happens, we don't know what their running back situation, because they're already out on Marion Ampiton and Najee Harris.
Yeah.
So they've got 2 guys named Joe running. I think I couldn't even tell you.
Well, their top running back right now, I think, is their quarterback. I think Justin Herbert has the most yards on that team right now, rushing.
Yeah, I mean, because their running backs are,
and he's not a rushing quarterback.
Johnson and Travion Williams. So hitch your horse up to both of those guys. One other thing too, and I'm watching it carefully. I guess Travis Etienne. Possibly out. In fact, it was funny because the injury report listed him as linebacker. So unless he's switched over to the defense, and so that's going to cause some excitement about anyone who's been waiting for a Tootin season. SCS.
Except Tootin got hurt last week too.
Yeah, he has a possible.
He had more carries than Etienne did before the injury.
So So who is the running back behind Tootin?
LaQuint
Allen.
Allen.
LaQuint Allen.
But he's more of a receiving back than a running back, to be honest. He's more of a
look.
Actually, his skill set and what he's best known for is pass blocking. So that'll be kind of.
I don't know.
Oh wait, all I gotta say is Tootin. He better find every ounce in his body to get himself on down that
This
field.
is your
because
opportunity.
This
You
is his
got it.
opportunity, man. Look.
And I've been practicing on saying the guy's name, so I'm going to go up to the suspension of Jamar Chase for spitting on Jalen Ramsey. So what that does is brings up T. Higgins as your wide receiver 1 and Andre Ioshavas. Closer that time.
You did good that time.
So he's going to be a hot target in free agents if you haven't already picked him up.
And Joe Burrow's back in practice.
Yeah.
Now, it was just a walkthrough. So I don't expect him back this week, but it looks like he's coming back.
But Jamar Chase has got to be smarter than that, man. You know Joe Burrow's on the way back.
You know what he said? He said, I didn't spit on him. I was spitting on the ground. It hit him in the chest. He said, if I was spitting on him, I would have spit in his face, is what Chase said. That is not going to get him out of the suspension, I'm telling you.
So other injuries to worry about, Aaron Rodgers, Michael Penix we've mentioned before, Dylan Gabriel, CJ Stroud, running backs, Josh Jacob, although I'm guessing he's going to play. I know there was all this excitement about Emmanuel Williams.
He wants to play, but I think they hold him out 1 week.
And we've got Jalen Warren. So that's Kenneth Gainwell opportunity and maybe even a little of Caleb Johnson. We already mentioned Vidal. And for wide receivers, we mentioned Drake London being out. Calvin Ridley, he's got a broken fibula. Interesting because their wide receiver core is also pretty banged up. You got DK with a concussion. You got Iamana with a hamstring. Van Jefferson all of a sudden becomes their wide receiver 1. I'm sure you're all going to rush to put him in your lineups.
I think Iamana's going to probably play.
He'll probably play.
And he'll be their wide receiver 1 in this game if he does.
And last, and because I love to bring up kickers, Eddie Pinheiro, San Francisco 49er kicker, has an injured hamstring. He had been such a reliable and high-scoring kicker for the 49ers. They signed recently cut Matt Gay to be their kicker. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad.
Hey, if he's starting, it's a potential pickup. That's all I gotta say. Usually, you're not short of kickers because very few teams carry 2.
I'm just excited because I was able to grab Karen Fairbairn, and he's going to be kicking tonight against the Bills, and that's a potential.
Yeah, but a shutout doesn't give you any points.
What's that?
If the Bills shut out the Texans like they should, that won't give you any points from the kicker.
No. No. Okay, so with that, I think we can go to the mailbag section.
Hopefully this bit. Well, that one played. That one looked good. Okay. All right. Rick, I'll go to you first. Is there anything in the chat?
I actually didn't see anything. Looks like it's clear.
All right. If the chat's clear, we do have questions from the mailbag. From Michael Dunklin. Start 2 from these players: Justin Jefferson, Quentin Johnston, Parker Washington, Cam Sutton, Tez Johnson, Troy Franklin, or Ricky Pearsall. Now, I know that one of our hosts has Ricky Pearsall as his sleeper this week. I'm interested to see if he'll start Pearsall over the other guys because I'm not. Go ahead.
You're not going to be starting the 2 Denver wide receivers because they're on bye. So Sutton and Troy Franklin, they're sitting. So that narrows it down to Parker Washington, Quentin Johnson, and Tez Johnson.
Quentin Johnson's on bye.
And Quentin Johnson's on bye, and he's just been struggling the last couple of games anyway.
So if you're asking this question, you didn't even look at the bye weeks.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay. I would,
That's what we're for.
and I know you don't like the word "start your studs," but I still would go with Justin Jefferson. He's actually been pretty solid. I mean, he's been getting you in the teens and scoring. He just isn't what you would hope for when you drafted him in the first round. But I would definitely still go with Justin Jefferson, and I would take the shot at Ricky Pearsall. I mean, the Purdy's back, and I know he had 0 yards and only 1 reception last week, but I think that this is a good opportunity to put him in your starting lineup.
Did he have 3 targets last week? I think 2 or 3 is all he had. Oh, he only had 1 target?
Or one catch. I don't know if he had more than
catch.
one.
I thought he had 2 or 3 targets, so he wasn't used a lot. Tip, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Pearsall. First of all, the Carolina Panthers at one point in this season were really good against the pass. They had turned that around. They were really a good pass defense. In the last 3 games, though, however, they've given up 250 yards passing. So I think Carolina is susceptible to getting some passes on them. Maybe last week was, let's see how good Ricky Pearsall is going to, come out of this. Is he going to be set back free? All that good stuff. And he seems like he's doing fine, ready to go Monday night. So I think Ricky Pearsall, this is his week. Last week I was a little concerned. This is going to be his week. And then, of course, Justin Jefferson. You just can't sit him. I mean, you've put that tag on him. As long as he's healthy, you got to play him. Hopefully, J.J. McCarthy and him find some type of connection. And I think they will over some more time. But McCarthy's got to stop throwing those bullet passes, man. He's got to put a little bit more touch on the ball.
Yeah, he does. I agree with that entirely. I went with Justin Jefferson for sure, because you don't draft a guy in the first round to sit him in week 10, week 11, week 12. You just don't do that. Justin Jefferson is easily the first pick for me, but the second pick is going to be Parker Washington, okay? I just think Parker Washington he's built himself a place on the field, and he's produced at least 62 yards or a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games. So he's producing, okay? If Johnston were playing, he'd be my third choice, but I apparently forgot that he was on bye too. I thought he was off bye this week. But so it'd be Washington and Jefferson for me, with Jefferson at number 1.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me a little bit about even Parker Washington was he has developed a good rapport with Trevor Lawrence, but you've got Brian Thomas coming back. You've got Jacoby Myers, who should be developing, is understanding the playbook and should have a little bit broader route tree. So Parker Washington is now kind of like their wide receiver 3, and they don't pass that much either. So it's like, I just think that you have way more upside with Ricky Pearsall.
Fair enough. From Josh Sexton, Shuff or JJ? His opponent has Jefferson, so he's leaning towards JJ as kind of a backdrop. What do you think, Tip?
Who was the first person?
Shuff, quarterback from New Orleans.
Oh, okay. Or JJ McCarthy. I'm still gonna go with JJ McCarthy. I think that Saints game, no, it's gonna be one of those grind them out, nasty, low scoring. Kirk Cousins.
It's going to be one of those things that turns into a shootout.
I don't see it. I don't see either one of those teams capable of getting to a shootout. now I know Kirk Cousins did it last year or 2 years ago, whatever, against
He's done
Tampa
it his
Bay.
whole career.
He's done it, but this is different. No, he just don't have it anymore. So
All
I'm gonna
right.
go with JJ. I'm gonna go with JJ's side. He also offers the rushing upside too. He's tough, so that's gonna give me. And I know Shuff. Hey, he's run the ball a little bit as well, but I just think JJ, he's got better weapons. He's got more of an opportunity.
Do you agree, Rick?
I actually don't. This is one where I'm going to have to disagree with my good friend Tipp. J.J. McCarthy's going against the Green Bay Packers on Lambeau Field. I think that's a tough recipe for any quarterback, especially one who's struggling. Where you've got Shuck going against the Falcons, they're a decent defense, but the Saints are coming off a bye, and Shuck in Week 10. 19 for 27, 282 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions with 128.9 passer rating. Has J.J. McCarthy even come close to that? I don't think so.
I think he shocks people this week. I think he
I hope you're right, Tip.
I think
but
he does.
I agree with Rick. All right. For Week 12, Tyler Shuff, he projects a slightly safer fantasy value than J.J. McCarthy, given recent performances, basically. I think projections have Justin Jefferson as not being a big factor in this game, so I wouldn't use him to offset it. I think, actually, from what I've seen of J.J. McCarthy, he has a better rapport with Jordan Addison than he does with J.J. McCarthy at this time. Shuff is projected for a moderate game, maybe 14, 15, 16 points, so it's not great. But I just think that Shuff, he's got a Olave to throw to, and that's not too bad. And Jawan Johnson's been doing pretty good too. I just think Shuff is a better quarterback this week. Now I'm hoping I'm wrong because I love JJ, and I love to point out to JC that JJ had. Like I said, I asked JC after last week's comeback where JJ led him down the field to tie the game. What do you think now? But they ended up losing anyway. So for me, not anything in the chat yet.
Still nothing there.
Okay.
Well, one thing I will say about Justin Jefferson, I'm looking at his game log in Green Bay. I'm not going to talk about last year. Last year, he struggled in Green Bay. Oh no, I'm sorry. He struggled. He
struggled everywhere last year.
I think he was out last year.
He struggled in Green Bay the year before that, 58 yards. Year before that, 15 yards. So his highest point total while he was in Green Bay is 85 yards and a touchdown. So that's decent. That's actually close to what I think he can get this week. I think he can get 80 yards, tough 80 yards, and a touchdown this week.
All right. Okay, this one's from a young lady. Well, I don't know if she's young. From Ashley Genter. Rashad White or Aaron Jones? I think this is a very good question because Bucky Irvin returned to practice on Wednesday. Now he won't play. Are you sure
he's not going to play?
All right. I didn't know. He returned to practice. I figured today's practice and tomorrow's practice would tell the tale. You're sure he's not playing? Has he been ruled out, or are you just?
He hasn't been ruled out. He didn't put pads on today, so he's just been running with the.
All right, so he's still limited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you say then, Rick? Apparently, you think Rashad White.
Actually, I think Aaron Jones, if he's healthy, he's had at least a touchdown his last in 6 games this year. He's going against the Vikings, who ranked 25th in run offense.
You mean run defense?
Run defense, with giving up 103 yards per game. And let's see, they also, my worry about Rashad White is that he's going to be sharing time with Sean Tucker, not with.
Well, what about Jordan Mason?
Jordan Mason has been a disappointment. I'm sorry. I started him in a few games this season, and
Yeah, Yeah, but he's still going to be on the field. He's still going to get touches.
Yeah, I just think that he isn't involved in the passing game at all. That's where Aaron Jones is. I just think that this.
Well, I think both White and Aaron Jones get passing. I mean, they're both in the passing game. I agree. So you're definitely going with White with Jones over White.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Tip?
Yeah, I'm going Jones too. I saw enough last week. Last week I was really high on Rachaad White because of the matchup. I just really thought that it was a game that he could take over, and Sean Tucker took over. So that now puts Sean Tucker's name in the hat, and it's going to create a three-headed committee or approach or whatever once Bucky Irving is fully back, who he's been limited. And I do remember, I remember hearing somewhere that in order for Bucky Irving to get on the field, Todd Bowles said he has to put in full practices. So if he's putting in limited practices, that means that this might just be the ramp-up period. And maybe another week, and then he'll start doing full practices, and then he'll be ready to play. So
I can add to that former Buccaneer Rondé Barber, who is a current Buccaneers broadcaster, said Irving will not be back for Sunday Night Football this week. So
yeah, so Rachaad White is going to be again that name that people are going to be gravitating towards because they're going to be. He had a bad week this past week. Rachaad White is a very inefficient player. He needs touches in order to be efficient, and I'm just not sure after what we saw from Sean Tucker last week, he's going to get efficient touches. So you have an inefficient player and inefficient touches. I don't like it.
Yeah, but Rachaad White gets pass opportunities. He may be
does.
inefficient, but he does get the targets. What I'm saying is if Bucky Irving is out, yes, Sean Tucker had a good game, and they may go with the hot hand, which isn't unusual. That said, both running backs get pass work. They both do. Aaron Jones and Rachaad White get the pass work, and both of them share touches. If Jordan Mason has a big carry in his first carry, you're going to see him getting more touches this week too. It just happens. Plus, it's tough defense they're playing against this week. So I'm going with Rachaad White this week because I don't expect Bucky Irving to play. From Dean Milliken. Who should I start at tight end? Jake Ferguson or Cade Otton? I'm going to go first, then you guys can play off me. This would normally be a no-brainer, all right? Ferguson's top 5 tight end, okay? And Otton, although he's right at the bottom of the 12, top of the next 12, he's tight end 1, tight end 2, right on the edge there. Plays well. But this week it's complicated because Ferguson's going up against the Philadelphia defense that's the absolute best against tight ends, giving up just 6.2 points per game to tight ends. But the thing that tips it in my favor is the fact that Ferguson is still a primary target in the red zone. So I go with Ferguson here. How about you there? Number 1 on Dallas. I'm not sure he's number 1 overall, but he's number 1 on Dallas. How about you, Rick?
Yeah, I was leaning towards Ferguson as well, and then I looked at the matchup, of course. But the thing I like about Otton, he's going up against the Rams, which is a tough defense, a really tough defense. But if there is a place where you can beat them, it is at the tight end position. Last week they gave up 10 catches and 17 points to A.J. Barner. So I think that I would lean with Otton this week.
All right, break the tie, Tip.
No, it's Ferguson for me. I understand, and you said it really well, Greg, about how good the Philadelphia defense is because their linebackers are lights out. But I just really think that these Cowboys, they're not really afraid of a lot of teams, and they're definitely not afraid of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that they feel like their offense is just good enough to go against them. So I'm going Jake Ferguson.
All right. We got one more. We got one more question. I want to get it out from Brandon Myers. We've got Matthew Stafford or Baker Mayfield this week. Okay, I'm going to go real quick, and then you guys go real quick so we close up the show. Overall, Stafford is recommended start for Week 12 in PPR and standard fantasy leagues. 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's just too efficient to put on the bench. I also think that the Tampa Bay defense is less against quarterbacks than the Rams. They play each other. Could be a shutout. It could be a shootout. Both these quarterbacks could be very good this week. Rick?
Yeah, I agree. Stafford's been one of the hottest quarterbacks. He's a realistic, or he's a deserved MVP candidate. I was going Stafford.
Okay, he doesn't run. Does that influence you at all, Tip?
No, I mean, Baker. When it comes to this, I look at who has more of the options. You got Puka Nacua. You got Devontae Adams, who is leading the leagues in red zone targets. You've got the tight ends that they use. You got Kyron Williams. All of these guys are capable of catching.
Wait a minute. You got what? The tight ends that they use? You can't even name the tight ends?
You got Terrence Ferguson, you got Davis Allen, and then you also have Higbee.
Parkinson, too.
And you got Parkinson. You got 4 tight ends that they use.
Yeah, but
that
they didn't come right to your mind, which tells me.
No.
I've been pushing the
music. I was trying to speed
Cade Otton is a better target for Baker than the tight ends in St. Louis. Well,
St. Louis.
Well, it used to be the Rams.
I don't know if you combine all 4 of them though, or 3 of them, or however the utilization is. I think it's good enough. I think it's good enough with the Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams.
I think those guys are the difference. But if
you
take all the tight ends as a whole, I will bet you Cade Otton outscores them by himself.
I tell you,
what are we betting?
I've been snapping up Terrence Ferguson.
All right, you come here. No, you're going to the expo. I will buy you a drink at the expo.
Okay.
A drink.
All right. So wait, this week, this is the bet, because I want everybody to hear this. This week we have Cade Otton versus the Rams tight end
room.
The whole room. Who has more yards? Who has more fantasy?
More fantasy points. Point per reception, more fantasy.
That is a bet, Greg.
All right.
That is a bet.
Yeah.
And I don't see any other questions in the chat, so
want to thank all of our guests for coming on. Tip, thanks for sticking for the mailbag.
Yes,
my apologies for being a little bit late, but we still got in under 103, so let's go.